I hear it very often. If it's better to buy right now or to continue renting.
Look, the answer is not black and white. The answer is if you are paying a cheap rent, do not stop renting. Keep renting. That does not mean you shouldn't be investing in real estate, but do not buy to live, keep renting.
It's true, and that's what I hear from many big investors and people that are very elite here and all over the world. And most of the time, for example, Elon Musk, he doesn't even have a house; he rents, and he encourages people to rent. But at the same time, if you rent, it's the same amount as what you would pay as a mortgage. Why not buy?
Okay, so that is the question. So Elon Musk, or I don't know, Grant Cardone or many other people, many of them do rent, because don't forget that the only real estate liability that you have is your personal residence. Because the only thing your personal residence is going to generate is costs. So when you have to decide if you want to rent or buy, you have to calculate how much are you paying in rent and how much are going to be your expenses if you buy. And the way to calculate is by using the interests on your mortgage, not the full payment, just the interest, because the other part is going to the capital, how much you're going to spend on municipal and school taxes.
Yes.
Don't count the insurance, because the insurance as a tenant, you also need it.
Oh, and I just want to add, don't forget about the welcome tax here in Quebec, that it's very unique and very surprising.
Yes, and the welcome tax, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're for a first-time home buyer, a second, a third. You always need to pay the welcome tax every time you buy a property.
And why is that? What is the welcome tax?
The welcome tax, and I have a short video about that. The welcome tax, it's called welcome tax because the gentleman that created the tax was Mr. Bienvenu. So when we translate bienvenue to welcome, and it's a land transfer tax that goes to each of the cities, and the cities use it to create infrastructure, to build new schools, to do a lot of things, whether we like it or not. It was supposed to be temporary when they created it, and it ended up being permanent.
I see. And can someone really, because what I see is that many people want to buy, but it's the down payment that it's the secret. And now with all the interest and prices going up, it depends on what type of percentage you can put as a down payment to be able to buy a house. Can someone really buy a property with less than 5%?
Yes.
How?
There is a new program to be able to finance your down payment. So technically, if you have zero money, you could buy, but your borrowing capacity has to support the fact that you're going to finance that down payment. So yes, you can buy with less than 5%, but you need to be able to afford the mortgage payment plus the payment for the down payment. Now, once, let's say you have the money for the down payment, you can buy with 5% a property which the cost is $500,000 or less. If it's more than $500,000 and up to $1.5 million, you're gonna need 5% on the first $500,000 and 10% on the difference between 1.5 and 500. Over 1.5, it doesn't matter if it's your first house or your second house, you're gonna need to put 20% down.
Interesting. And as a realtor, is it important for a buyer to start looking to a broker and looking into mortgages and mortgage broker before looking into properties?
Absolutely. And I personally, I do not set up a portal. I don't start looking for properties with clients unless they have their pre-approval. And the answer is simple. Do you go out to buy a dress without knowing what is your budget?
That's true.
Why would you go out and try to find a house without knowing what is your budget and how much you can afford? So the first step, and I explain it always to my buyers when we do our first onboard call, is you need to get pre-approved.
And how do you see, for example, I can see that as a realtor, you have a package of team, people that are do the inspections, a broker, and people that do like many
Yes.
other things. How can you tell that you have a good broker?
Oh, a good mortgage broker, you mean?
Yes.
Well, they have to have experience. They have to be, and here, with all due respect to mortgage brokers that work for one bank,
Okay.
I prefer mortgage brokers that have different options. Why? Because those mortgage brokers can offer you better rates in different banks and better programs according to your profile. There are mortgage brokers within banks, and they do an amazing job, but I do think it's better to work with mortgage brokers that can offer you a different amount of banks. So that is the criteria. Number one is that they can offer different solutions. Number two, the experience. Number three is the amount of documents that mortgage broker is going to ask you. If that mortgage broker is not asking you to send your T1s, is not asking you to send supporting documentation, he's probably not doing correctly the work, because once you have an accepted offer, and if he did not read all of those documents, they're probably going to say, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had that debt, you cannot buy. And now, even more, they have to be aware of all the immigration laws.
That's
because
true.
remember that if you're not a citizen and you're not a permanent resident, you have to fulfill a lot of conditions in order to be able to buy.
That's true. And you have an interesting point about mortgage brokers, because I hear a lot that it's important to go into brokers that are not associated with banks, and not just for mortgages, but like many different services. Why is that?
Look, a mortgage broker also, when they are associated with one bank, if you don't qualify for that bank, they can't offer you anything else.
Yeah.
A good mortgage broker is going to have B lenders. So B lenders are those that are not traditional banks that can lend you money at a higher interest rate, and that's up to the buyer to decide if they want to work with them or not. They can offer you private lenders, which are amazing when you're buying, for example, multi-family properties, because they're going to let you buy quicker. You're going to get the money quicker. And even though it's more expensive, you're probably going to get a better deal. And then what you do is you refinance and go with a traditional bank. So a good mortgage broker is going to help you do all of this figure that is not that simple if you're working with a mortgage broker from one single bank.
What I hear oftenly is that they do all of the shopping for you.
Exactly.
And talking about a purchase, because buying a house, and when you don't have experience, you can come out with many different expenses. Do most buyers underestimate the extra costs involved in a purchase?
The majority of the buyers underestimate it. They think that the only amount they need to have is their down payment. And when a mortgage broker is going to evaluate your borrowing capacity, they're going to calculate between 1 to 2% extra for those additional expenses, which are, we have two types of additional expenses. We have what we call the closing costs. And the closing costs include, for example, the inspection, they include the notary fees, and they include the welcome tax. And then you have the recurrent expenses, which are municipal taxes, school taxes, condo fees in the case of a condo, and insurance. So you really need to plan for all of those additional expenses. And yes, people do underestimate. They think, oh, I just have to save for my down payment. It's not only that.
Talking about insurance, a home insurance, which is very important, and people underestimate that. Do you think, as a realtor, that because it's an every year contract, do you think that we need to do a shopping every year?
Of course.
Why is
You
that?
also need a mortgage. You also need an insurance broker. An insurance broker is going to go help you shop with different companies and offer you better solutions. If you stay with your same company and you do not even check your policy, it can be going up. It can be It is going to go up year by year, and you haven't done any claims. Nothing has changed. So personally, every year, when I get my bill for my insurances, I say, why is this going up with it? And I call my mortgage broker. Do we have any other options? Can we go see with other companies? And same thing although we're not talking about cars here, but this year in my renewal, because I shopped with an insurance broker, I saved $300 on my annual contract for my car.
My
car
God.
insurance. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know about the importance of shopping for insurance every year until I found that this year. But talking about prices, because it goes up every year. Do you think that people are still waiting for home prices to go down?
Yeah, we have this idea or this myth that there's going to be a perfect time to buy. And people want to buy when prices go down and when interest rates go down. If you are waiting for that moment to happen,
but prices
you're going
are
to be
going down.
Okay, it depends. Wait. So let's see. So buyers are always waiting for interest rates to go down and prices to go down. If you're waiting for those two things to happen, you're going to wait forever and ever and ever, because those two things don't happen. If prices go down, interest rates go up to put a stop on the market. And if prices go up, interest rates go down. So look, people say, prices are going down. It depends on what we're talking about. Prices for example, condos, they might be going down a little bit. Prices for houses are not going down unless you're buying a house that it's worth more than 1.5 million. And for revenue properties, meaning duplex, triplex, prices are not going down. And the last statistics that we saw comparing May of 2025 to May of 2024, prices went up in all categories. The amount of listings is going down. So what does that mean? Prices are going up because the amount of offer of properties on the market is going down. And Quebec is one of the only provinces in Canada where prices are still going up. And the reason is because there's not enough offer on the market for the amount of buyers. So if you keep waiting, you're going to buy more expensive. And
you're saying a very interesting point, because you're talking just about Quebec, but I'm hearing in Ontario, and probably you can confirm me this. For example, in Toronto, it's true that condos are going down.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because the difference with Ontario or with Toronto compared to Montreal is that promoters are still being able to build a very big amount of condos. So there's a lot of offer on the market. Here in Montreal, it's very different. Construction cost here in Montreal, it's very expensive. The time for you to get a license to build takes way more time. Developers are starting to realize that for them, it's better to build and rent which means they're not putting those units in the market for sale.
Yes.
So that is the big reason between Toronto and Montreal. Another thing, we have the ban for non-residents and non-Canadians. Typically, markets like Toronto had way more Asian buyers than we did. So it impacts more on Toronto than in Montreal.
But there's actually something interesting happening here in Montreal, and I want you to confirm that to me, because I've seen it, and probably people, you guys are watching this episode, you guys can see as well that properties that are getting bought and they're put into rent, they're giving the first or the second month free of rent, free Wi-Fi. You see them more vacant. Why is that?
Yes, and that is something that is happening in Montreal. And typically the rental market in Montreal was a very active market, but it's starting to slow down in Montreal.
But prices are going down, or they're staying still?
Rental prices?
Yes.
I'm going to say that what is happening is that they're giving more incentives.
Okay. Yeah.
So the incentives, for example, to include utilities, or the incentives to give 1 month free. And yes, it is slowing down. And normally after July 1st, which is the moving day, Canada Day, that here it's considered moving day, the rental market does slow down. Yes.
Interesting. And talking about inspections and things that we have to do in order to buy or sell a house, do you think that many clients overlook the importance of a good inspection?
Yes, I'm going to say that clients don't give it the weight that it deserves, the inspection. I still get a lot of clients asking, should I be present in the inspection? And the answer is always yes, yes, and yes. And other people ask, what is the cheapest inspector? You should not be saving money on an inspection. If you're a first-time home buyer, or if you're not experienced with the type of property that you're buying, let's say you own 2 condos, but you've never bought a house, you absolutely need to do an inspection. It's very important to make a thorough inspection. Now, don't forget, inspections are not a way to negotiate price. That is not what the inspection is for. The inspection is to know what you are buying.
And something that I learned with you is that many inspectors have different fields and different categories. But do the realtor come with a part of identifying the inspector that you need?
Yes. And your realtor should normally suggest you at least 3 inspectors. And it's very important to choose the right inspector. Let's say you're buying a duplex in the Plateau Mont-Royal. You should not be choosing an inspector because it's the father or the son or the friend of your friend, but it's an inspector that works in the South Shore. Or it's an inspector that works, because they're not going to know exactly what to evaluate. You need to have somebody that understands the construction, the year of construction, the type of soil it's built on. And same thing, you cannot bring an inspector from Montreal to go inspect a property in Granby. Because the laws are different. The code is different.
Interesting. And is there a perfect time because now talking as a realtor and as a buyer, is there a perfect time to buy real estate?
Yes, the perfect time is called now.
Why is that? Because now you can feel ready, or you can feel ready in a few years, but why do realtors keep saying the time is now?
Because there's always opportunities. There's always, in every market, there's opportunities to buy. Now, yes, the perfect time is now, but you do have to be prepared financially. What I do not agree with is on the principle that you need to buy and you need to buy. You need to be prepared. You need to know what you're getting into. You shouldn't rush into buying until you know you can afford what you're going to buy. Now, is there ever a perfect timing? Is there ever a perfect timing to have kids?
No.
Okay, then it's pretty much the same thing. So there's always opportunities. Like in today, let's say, we are in a seller's market. Why are we in a seller's market? Because properties are selling in less than 60 days. Does that mean that you as a buyer shouldn't buy? No. That means you have to look for opportunities to buy. And what I'm telling my buyers today is let's focus on listings that have been on the market for more than 30 or 60 days, that are overpriced, and that we can negotiate.
Interesting.
Can I buy a house at 80?
What do you mean, can you buy a house at 80?
At 80.
That's a
years
good
old.
question. At 80.
You can, but it's very
And I'll die in
difficult.
5 years, right? So
Maybe we should get married and then you can buy a house at 80 and I'll inherit the house.
Oh my God. Well, I just want to know, because many buyers have the desire of buying a property, but why people feel afraid?
People feel afraid because they think they have a risk of not being able to pay. That's mainly.
Yeah.
The second fear of people is not being able to maintain the property, or of the potential things that might happen to the property. And even though you cannot guarantee at 100% that there's not going to be any issues, if you went to a mortgage broker and you got a pre-approval, it is based on what you're making and what you owe. If you did a good inspection, you know what are the issues or the potential repairs that the house needs. So, and when you buy real estate, what is the worst thing that can happen is that you're going to need to sell. It's not like you're doing in the stock market where you can lose your money in a day, in a night. When you have something tangible and you can sell it at any point. But that's why it's important to do the process in a thorough way. But I would say that the first purchase, people are very afraid. But from then on, normally they're okay with it.
I think that having a skilled agent makes the whole
It does.
process different. And can a skilled agent really make the difference when you want to buy, to sell, or to rent your property?
Yes, and I know that many people that are listening are going to think, oh, yeah, she's a real estate broker, so she's going to say it. Look, the reason why I became a real estate broker, it's because when I bought my first property, I did not use a real estate broker, and I trusted the real estate broker of the promoter and make the worst mistake, which I'm still paying today.
Oh, wow.
So if I had my real estate broker verifying the documents and telling me what to do and what clauses to put, I would have probably avoided that mistake. And I do have clients that are very educated that come to me for my services because they know that I can either get more money for their property when they're selling or get a better price when they're buying. There's a lot of emotions involved in a real
Totally.
estate transaction.
Totally.
When you have somebody by your side that's helping you think clear and orient you, I'm not going to say that all real estate agents are good. Sorry. But I am going to say that whenever you find a good real estate broker, I can assure you that you won't do another transaction without your real estate broker.
And I think you're talking about experience, because when you have a bad experience with something, you want people to avoid that.
Yes.
So that comes with a very big difference than just someone that just hasn't lived or gone through that. So that's props to you.
And that was the reason why I became a real estate broker, because that mistake cost me so much money that I thought, okay, this cannot happen. When I went to do my real estate course, my idea was I'm gonna help my friends and I'm gonna help my family. And then I developed a huge passion for real estate, and I decided just to do real estate. But for me, it was I'm not gonna let my family and my friends make the same mistake. But when I tell you it's costly, look, and today, like I said, there's clients that they've done transactions on their own and they've paid the price. And on the second time, they're like, okay, I'm not going to make that mistake again. So I'm going to use the services of a real estate agent, and they see the difference.
And they make the difference for sure. Yeah. And talking about now, this is what, today is Thursday, what? June 26th. I'm so bad with dates. I'm so sorry with that. But yes, talking about now, is it a good time to sell?
It's an amazing time to sell.
Why?
Because we're in a seller's market, because there's not enough offer for the amount of buyers that are out there. So because interest rates have gone down tremendously. So yes, it is a seller's market. It's an amazing time to sell.
And is it a good time to buy?
Again, I'm going to say yes. You just need to look for the opportunities. Doesn't mean you have to rush into buying anything. You just have to look for the opportunities. Don't forget that in every market, you can make money by buying and selling real estate. And that is something my mentor, which is an uncle of mine that is in real estate, told me. There's always opportunities in the real estate market. There's always, unfortunately, people that are getting divorced, people that are passing away, and there you have opportunities. People that overlisted their property at a very high price and have been on the market for 1 year and nobody wants their market.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to buy it. There you have an opportunity that you can buy and negotiate.
And now I have the last question of the episode, and it's pretty interesting for me and many other people that have seen the regulations that have changed a little bit today. And is it a good time now to have a second property as investment here in Canada and in Quebec?
Always. Look, if you already own your personal residence, every time you pay your mortgage, you have one part that goes to capital and one part that goes to interest. After a couple of years, you've built some equity on that property. Your personal residence is zero deductible. You should be refinancing or getting a line of credit on that property and using that money to buy a second property that's going to generate you income, and the interests of that refinancing are tax deductible. So it's the way that you're putting your personal residence to work for you.
And for wanting those type of tips, who can you contact? Because if you have an idea, for sure, Catalina. I think for those type of tips for investment, because the properties could be residential, but could be investment as well. And you need to have the knowledge, the proper knowledge here in Canada and anywhere else to be able to do it the right way.
Yes. I'm going to say that you need a good real estate broker and you need a good mortgage broker. So if you want to get more tips like me, like what I'm saying today, you can follow me on my social media, and my Instagram and all of my accounts are Catalina Camacho Realtor. And if you want a good mortgage broker, send me a DM and I'll give you the contact information of amazing mortgage broker.
Catalina, thank you so much for this first episode with you in English, and for everyone that wants to hear it. We'll be here with all of the tips, and we'll be here, next week?
Yes, we're going to be here next week, and soon we're going to start having people over at the show to talk about, we're going to have inspectors, we're going to have notaries, we're going to have contractors, we're going to have all the people that are involved in a real estate transaction. So yes, we're going to be here next week. And thank you, Maria, for being today's spicy host and all of those questions.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And people, don't miss it. Now you know the best place to be if you want to learn about investments and about realtor and buying or selling your property.